Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Shrine of Anubis. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome again, and nice to see you. So, today or tonight, I mean, it's almost 8 in the night, like whatever. I want to talk to you guys about how and when do I work with Anubis. This is a very, I wouldn't say popular because it's not like I am J-Lo or some shit, but it's a highly requested question. Uh, I would not say question, but rather curiosity, although it can be interpreted as a question, as to how I work with Anubis and when I work with him. So that's what this video will be about. It will be very brief because I don't feel like I have a lot to say. So let's get started first with how I work with Anubis. How I work with Anubis is quite simple. I don't call out on him often unless it's like uh, a very extreme situation. I don't really like to annoy him, if that even makes any sense. I know that to some people, they don't really mind calling upon their guides or angels or deities and such, but I am very different. I don't like to call on anyone or bother anyone. I prefer to take charge of my things and do everything by myself, which can be an issue many times because I refuse to ask for help and receive help. So, when it comes to working with Anubis, I do have a hard time asking him for help and calling on him and saying, like, hey, I need a helping hand here. I don't like to do that. So, how I work with Anubis is quite simple. So, let's say that I have a situation. Um, Another thing that I will get into is when I work with him. So, I want to address this as well because they kind of are interlaced with one another. I don't work with Anubis all the time. I only work with him for certain cases and not too often either, anyways, because, like I said, I don't really like to bother anyone. And I know that they won't be bothered, but that is just me being me. But when I work with Anubis, I work with him when it comes to money, or when it comes to justice, when it comes to protection, when it comes to also love. Now, I have not done domination work for love for other people or even myself with him because I feel that he's not in charge of those things. Anubis is not someone who likes to force things. He's more like he delivers better when it's something that needs to be corrected. So, sending back a curse, protecting yourself from someone's curse or someone's negative vibe, or from something new that you want to do, but you're not sure if it's going to be fruitful. So, Anubis helps you with that sort of thing. But when it comes to tying your man's cock to you so that he doesn't cheat on you, or tying someone's pussy so that she doesn't leave you, all that shit that has to do with dominating someone, infringing their will, imposing your will over their own. That is something that Anubis frowns upon a lot. So, even as well as doing curses, if the curse is not justified. Because if the curse is valid and it's justified, he will help you. But if you're doing a curse on someone simply because they defended themselves from your toxic and abusive behavior, he will reverse that shit onto you. Because again, you're working with a deity who brings justice. I mean, for fuck's sake, he is in the afterlife wasting the fucking hearts of the people. So you can't expect to do a working that is not justified. Of course, he's going to reverse that shit on you. Now, there are other deities who don't give a shit, who will help you do the dirty work. But if you're looking to work with Anubis for this type of situation or thing, I don't think you will have good results, if any at all, with him if your work is not justified. So, coming back to how I work with him, let's say I have a situation where I want to get protection because of somebody else that's been harassing me. I tend to be harassed a lot online. In person, not yet. The reason why I say this is because I know that as soon as I have a fixed job somewhere, that I will get creepers in the workplace. I have that feeling because I know, because it's happened to me online, and I know it will happen in real life as well. That is just something natural. So how I work with Anubis is that when I know that I will be working with him, what I start to do is I start leaving him petitions once a week, or depending on how he feels like it. Usually, it's either a week or longer than a week that I leave an offering. I try to make an offering that I can later on consume. He doesn't like it when I discard things. So, for example, if I leave him chocolate, I'm going to leave it wrapped up in the altar next to his statue. And then, when the time is right, I will ask him for permission and say, "Excuse me, but I'm going to be taking this." And then I unwrap it, and then I start to consume it. And in my mind, I am thinking and dedicating the eating of the offering to him. So, like, for example, if I am eating a piece of chocolate, in my mind, I'm like, "Anubis, I dedicate this chocolate to you. I hope that you enjoy it. I dedicated it to you, and I dedicate it to you now with all my love, humbleness, humility." I tend to confuse those words. So I'm not sure which is the correct word, because sometimes I do it in Spanish. So I offer it with humility in my heart, with love, with respect, with devotion to you, so that you hear my plea. But I do not specify the plea just yet. But I am preparing him to signal him and let him know that I will be working with him, and I am asking for him to make himself known to me, if that makes sense. So I am inviting him. In other words, I am bribing him. I am like bribing him, like, to, "Hey, come around. I have chocolate. I have bread. I have water. I have wine." So if you look at it that way, yes, I am bribing him to come around, settle down, and make yourself feel at home with me, because I have something to ask you. But that's how I start to let him know that it's my desire to work with him for a situation that I would like to know his thoughts on. Now, eventually, I will start to make more offerings, and this is when I start to include the water and the wine and the incense, like myrrh and frankincense, or both in one or separate. That's fine, doesn't matter. He also loves vanilla. So if you have vanilla incense or incense cones or resin, that is a perfect offering for him. He also enjoys chocolate incense. I did not know that was a thing until he suggested it to me at some point, and I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot believe this." But I will talk about specific offerings at a later point in time in another video, because I am getting off track from the point here. So eventually I start to make more offerings. And then when I start to make the larger offerings, I write him a note of my petition of what I would like him to help me with. And then I burn the paper. You can either use the ashes of that paper and then make a hole in the thick candle. You can either turn the candle upside down, make a hole in it, and put that spirit powder into the candle, and then you seal it again with wax from the candle by burning it a little bit. This is loading a candle. So I either do it that way, or I simply stay in my altar and I quote unquote pray. Or rather meditate with him and his energy, and I tell him what I require help with. And then I wait for a sign from him. He can give you different types of signs, but you will know that it is him. And I will talk more about signs in a later video, but you will eventually know. You will get a hint, you will get a nudge of him saying yes. And that's when you will then proceed to work with him. And then you can do the spell work, whether it's a curse that's justified or a protection spell or something that has to do with money, and that sort of thing. As long as it's justified and also does not violate someone's free will, he will help you. So I know you're wondering, what do I offer him? How do I do it? All these things, and I understand, but I don't want to make these videos super long. This one is like already 12 minutes long. So I will be talking about what offerings are good for him, and there was something else, but I forgot. So I probably will remember when I edit this video. But to summarize, how do I work with Anubis? I either write a petition and I burn it and I load it into a candle. I make a hole in the candle. I put the spirit powder in it and I burn some wax to seal it up and I burn it down. Or I simply sit down and meditate with his energy. Focusing on his energy and his statue or a picture of him is fine. And then I ask him what I need help with, and if he's willing to help me, to give me a sign. I don't like to approach spirits or deities out of nowhere like, hey, I need help with this and this and that. I don't like it. I think it's rude. Some people say don't make offerings until they have conceded the work, until they have granted you the working. But in my head, I'm like, you need to feed and, give water or some sort of drink to the spirits. You can't just expect them to do the work for free. There should be something given in exchange for their help. Remember, you are not entitled to them, and they don't have to help you. So make sure that you somehow offer them something, because I think it's rude to come out of nowhere with like, hey, Anubis, I want you to dominate this person for me, or I want you to curse this bitch, or I want money, get working. He's going to ignore you because you're not paying him, you're not offering him anything. And even though Anubis is very polite, he can also get pissed off very quickly. So you don't want to see that ugly side of him. So I always suggest to everybody out there, if you want to work with Anubis or any other spirit, have an offering. It can be water, it can be bread, doesn't matter. You can always be very simple in the beginning while you get your shit together. But always offer something if you're going to ask, because what's going to happen is that they're going to laugh at you because you're not giving anything to them in return. So why should they help you in the first place if you're not giving them anything? Some people say, oh, a spirit can take the offering and run off with it and not do the work. That's true, but You do not have to go all out when it comes to an offering. Offer something basic and simple. And then you can tell them, if you help me with this, I will be giving you this and this and that. So they know that there will be more if they help you. So that's how I see it. Always offer something. Don't be dry. Don't be empty when you approach them. And also make sure the work that you're doing is justified, because Anubis doesn't like violating people's free will or doing something to someone that does not deserve it. Remember that they can see beyond what we can see, so they will know if it's justified or not. And the second thing of when I work with him, it's for money work for myself to increase my finances or help other people increase their finances. Also for justice and protection. As long as it's justified, the justice part, he will help you out. So I don't really work with him for certain curses, because I can feel that blockage, that wall with him when he says, no, I'm not going to do this. You can look for somebody else to help you with this. It's all based on intuition, but I feel that resistance from him when he's like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this work. Go get somebody else. So you will know when Anubis rejects your petition of working with you for something. You will know. So with all of that said, I hope that this clears up a couple things for you guys out there. If you want more information, feel free to let me know down below in the comment box if you have more questions that you would like me to answer. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click on the bell, and click on see all, so that you can be notified of all future video uploads that I'll be making in this channel. And again, don't forget to let me know if you have any questions or things that you would like me to address in the future video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.